Stage 1. Shock. This cannot be real. The first stage of heartbreak does not feel like heartbreak at all. It feels like numbness, like the world has gone slightly unreal, like you are watching yourself from outside your own body, going through motions that do not quite compute. The relationship just ended, or the betrayal just happened, or the person you loved just revealed something that changed everything, and instead of the flood of emotion you expected, there is a strange, suspended silence. You go to work, you have conversations, you eat, and somewhere underneath all of it is a fact your brain has received but has not yet let into your body. This is actually happening. This is not absence of feeling. This is your nervous system's protection mechanism. When an emotional event is too large to process immediately, the brain activates what psychologists call an acute stress response, the same neurological mechanism that allows soldiers to function on a battlefield or accident victims to walk away from crashes before the pain registers. The scale of what just happened is so significant that your system essentially throttles the emotional input to a manageable level while it prepares to process. The shock stage typically lasts from a few hours to a few days. And the sign that it is ending is when the numbness begins to give way, when the reality starts to land in small waves rather than one enormous hit. Some people describe it as the moments when they forget for a split second and then remember again, and each time they remember, it hits slightly harder than before. That is the shock stage breaking. And what comes after it is where the real process begins. Stage 2. Denial. We will work this out. Denial is the stage that gets the worst reputation because from the outside, it looks like delusion. The relationship has clearly ended. The evidence is everywhere. And yet the person in this stage keeps finding reasons why it is not really over. They tell themselves it is a rough patch, that their partner just needs space, that if they say the right thing or do the right thing or wait long enough, the situation will reverse itself. They check their phone every few minutes. They leave space in their calendar for plans that are not going to happen. They hold the relationship in present tense in their mind, even when everything around them says past. But denial is not stupidity. It is a mercy. The brain, having received information too painful to immediately integrate, temporarily rejects it, the same way the body rejects a transplanted organ. It knows something foreign and threatening has entered. It is not yet equipped to accept it. Denial serves as a buffer between the shock of what happened and the full emotional reckoning that processing it will require. The danger is not being in denial temporarily, it is staying there too long. The sign that someone has moved from healthy denial into something more damaging is when they start reorganizing their life around a reality that no longer exists, turning down opportunities, holding off on healing, keeping themselves available for a relationship that has already ended. Healthy denial is a bridge. The problem is when people build a home on it. Stage 3. Bargaining. I will do anything to fix this. Bargaining is the stage where heartbreak meets desperation, and it is the stage where people do things they will later struggle to understand about themselves. The long text messages sent at 2 a.m. laying out everything they are willing to change. The promises made to a god or a universe asking for just one more chance. The compulsive replaying of every moment of the relationship searching for the decision point, the exact place where, if they had done something differently, the outcome might have changed. Bargaining is the mind's attempt to reclaim control over something that has already happened. It is powered by the completely human refusal to accept that something this important can be out of your hands. What makes bargaining so painful is that it is fueled by hope, and hope in this stage is a trap. Because the bargaining partner is not operating on information. They are operating on the desperate belief that if they can find the right argument, the right gesture, the right version of themselves to present, the other person will choose differently. And that belief keeps them tied to the past rather than moving toward the future. Most people in the bargaining stage describe it later as the stage they are most embarrassed about, the messages they sent, the things they agreed to, the dignity they temporarily set aside. But it is important to understand, this is not weakness. This is love expressing itself in the only direction it has left to go. The bargaining stops when the person finally accepts what the shock and denial stages have been protecting them from, that this is real, it is over, and no amount of hoping will change it. Stage 4. Anger. How could they do this to me? Anger is the stage that surprises people because it often arrives after they thought they were getting better. The numbness has passed. The desperate bargaining has exhausted itself. And suddenly, in its place, rage. Not always loud rage. Sometimes it is a quiet, cold fury that sits in the chest and colors everything. Sometimes it is intermittent, fine for hours and then blindsided by a memory or a song or a completely ordinary Tuesday that reminds them of what was taken. Sometimes it is directed at the person who hurt them. Sometimes it is directed inward, at themselves for loving too much, for trusting, for not seeing the signs. Anger and heartbreak is healthy and necessary. It is the emotional system finally asserting that what happened to you mattered, that you deserved better, that the pain you are feeling is a legitimate response to a real wrong. The problem is not feeling angry. The problem is what people do with it, because unprocessed anger in the aftermath of heartbreak has a way of becoming the foundation of future relationships if it is not addressed. The person who stays in the anger stage too long does not heal. They harden. They take the evidence of one person's failure and build a case against an entire gender, an entire institution, an entire idea of love. And the bitterness that results does not protect them. It closes them. Proverbs 4 verse 23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." The anger is telling you something real. The question is whether you are listening to the message or just feeding the flame. Stage 5, depression. I will never be okay again. This is the stage most people are afraid of, and the one that deserves the most honest conversation. After the energy of anger exhausts itself, what often remains is something quieter and heavier. Not sadness exactly, though sadness is part of it. More like a flatness, a diminishment. The world loses color. Things that used to matter stop mattering. Getting up in the morning requires more than it should. The future, which used to feel like something worth moving toward, becomes hard to see clearly. This is not clinical depression, though for some people, particularly those who have a predisposition or who do not have sufficient support, heartbreak can trigger a depressive episode that requires professional attention. What most people experience is what psychologists call situational depression, a normal emotional response to significant loss that includes many of depression's features, but is specifically caused by and tied to a particular life event. The important thing to understand about this stage is that it is not the bottom of a pit with no way out. It is actually a form of processing. The emotional system, having moved through shock, denial, bargaining, and anger, is now doing the deep work of integrating what happened, of sitting with the reality of the loss and beginning, slowly, to reorganize around it. The sign that you are moving through this stage rather than being trapped in it is small. Things begin to matter again in tiny increments. The coffee tastes good again. 1 hour passes where you did not think about it. A moment of genuine laughter arrives unexpected. These are not betrayals of the grief. They are the first signs of life returning. Stage 6, acceptance. This happened, and I will survive it. Acceptance is the most misunderstood stage because people confuse it with being okay with what happened. It is not. Acceptance does not mean the loss stops hurting. It does not mean you have forgiven everything or forgotten everything, or that you would not change it if you could. Acceptance means something much simpler and much more profound. It means the reality of what happened has finally been integrated into your understanding of your life. The relationship ended. The person left. The betrayal happened. These are facts now, not wounds actively bleeding, but scars that are part of your story. The shift into acceptance is rarely dramatic. It does not arrive as a sudden revelation. Most people describe it as a gradual lightening. One day they realize they went a whole afternoon without the heaviness, and then a whole day, and then they understand that something has shifted without them deciding to shift it. The grief did not disappear. It changed form. It became something they carry rather than something that carries them. And in that change, something important becomes possible that was not possible in any of the previous stages: the ability to look at what happened with something approaching clarity. To understand both what the relationship was and what it was not. To hold the good that was real and the damage that was also real without either one canceling the other out. This is the stage where healing actually begins. Not the healing that pretends the wound never happened, but the healing that understands the wound and decides to move forward anyway. Stage 7. Growth. I understand something I did not before. The final stage is the one that makes everything else worth it, and the one that is impossible to access without moving through everything that came before. Growth is not the same as being glad the heartbreak happened. Most people never reach a place of being glad. But growth is the recognition that something was built in you through the experience that could not have been built any other way. An understanding of yourself, what you need, what you will not accept, what you are actually capable of surviving, that you did not have before you entered the fire. Research on what psychologists call post-traumatic growth consistently shows that significant painful experiences, when fully processed rather than suppressed, tend to produce measurable increases in 3 specific areas: personal strength, the awareness that you are more resilient than you knew; relational depth, the capacity for more honest and meaningful connection; and a clearer sense of what actually matters versus what you were giving weight to that did not deserve it. The person who has moved through all 7 stages of heartbreak is not the same person who entered stage 1. They are wiser about love, not cynical, not closed, but genuinely wiser. They know what they are worth. They know what they will not settle for. They know the difference between the love that requires you to abandon yourself and the love that invites you to become more fully yourself. And they carry a compassion for other people in pain because they have been there, they know what it costs, and they know it is survivable. Romans 5 verses 3-4 says, "We also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope." The heartbreak was not the end of your story. It was the chapter that built you for what comes next. The question everyone wants answered, and the honest answer, is that it varies significantly by person, by the depth of the relationship, and by the quality of support available during the process. But research gives us general ranges that are worth knowing. Shock typically lasts hours to days. Denial can last days to weeks. Bargaining overlaps with denial and can persist for weeks. Anger can arrive and depart multiple times across the process. It is rarely a single clean stage. The depression phase is typically the longest sustained period and can last weeks to months depending on the individual and their circumstances. Acceptance is rarely a single moment. It is usually a gradual shift over weeks that is recognized in retrospect rather than in real time. And growth is ongoing. It continues to develop for months and years after the immediate process has concluded. What the research also consistently shows is that the single most significant factor in how quickly and healthily someone moves through these stages is whether they allow themselves to fully feel each one rather than suppressing or rushing past it. The people who move through heartbreak fastest are not the people who try to skip stages. They are the people who go fully into each stage, feel what it is asking them to feel, extract what it is trying to teach them, and move forward. Grief that is suppressed does not disappear. It waits. And it almost always arrives later in a form that is harder to manage than it would have been if it had been processed at the time. Wherever you are in these 7 stages right now, I want you to know something. Every single stage we covered is survivable. Every single one has been survived by people with less support, less self-awareness, and less understanding of what they were going through than you now have. The map does not make the journey painless, but it makes it navigable. Tell me in the comments, which stage are you in right now? Or which stage was the hardest for you to get through? Because someone reading your comment is in that exact stage at this moment and needs to know they are not alone in it. Share this video with someone who is in the middle of heartbreak and does not have the map yet. It could be exactly what they need tonight. Subscribe for more. I will see you in the next one.